Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Saul. Glad to be with you here. Welcome to the training room. As always, on Mondays, we are going to go through the major pairs and some crosses to give an outlook of the markets on a longer time frames, so we can get ready and maybe what to expect for this following week and identify zones of opportunity for the week. Before we get started, as always, please change your settings on your chat so everyone can see what you type. That way will be more interesting for everyone, and that way not only me see what you type, but everyone. So all attendees and panelists, I would appreciate that. Second, a quick disclaimer: this is only the way I read the markets and I manage positions. These are not meant to be buy or sell signals or recommendations of tradings. As always, be responsible for your own trading. With that being said, let's starting now. Hi, Edwin, welcome from the Netherlands. So let's go through the majors, and we'll tell the story of the market a little bit. Okay, what are the charts are telling us, and identify key levels on the charts, and get prepared and ready for this upcoming week. Okay, let's start with the Euro USD, and let's just recap what happened. We had, I believe this one right here, that was the NFP movement, a very strong set. All the CPIs. There was a news announcement causing this movement down here, and causing a break of these last supports right there, which led the market to test the next key level back here, which you can see on this red line. If we zoom out a little bit, that was the last key support before this past supports back here. We did not identify any key demand here. We did identify demand here, but we didn't reach that area. So market stopped at that support, and there was the test, and again news last week that caused this push higher. So if we zoom into that push, let's just see it more clearly. We had the news, which was this day, okay, and then we had consolidation, kind of a little pullback here, and then continuation. Okay, and that continuation, look how it stopped at that supply area, but that might be only a reaction in order to continue higher. Okay, if we look at the big picture and we think of the Euro USD as a very balanced pair, yes, we are in kind of bearish momentum. Okay, we have formed low, high, lower low, lower high, and then a lower low, and this might create a lower high than this one, and we might see another push lower, okay, all the way to those demands. Or if we take the big picture, we are inside that large range, and this movement might be the beginning of the next leg higher. So what we want to see is another pivot point being formed, maybe at those, okay, around that demand area, okay, somewhere there, and from there to see the market. Let me just zoom in, go higher, and in order to this down leg to become an up leg, we need to then see the retest and the continuation. Okay, so we need to form a higher low than previous one, and then continuation higher. So without large news, I think, and during the month of August, we will have a lot of ranging movement, sideways movement, which is also a good opportunity to take advantage of both demand and supply areas. Okay, so we can be shorting all these supply areas. Okay, look at this supply, classic supply, and extreme supply. Is not mid-range like this one right here. So we have demand here, demand back here, supply there. So we can short this supply. We can be buyers on these demands. Okay, right now nothing really, but we have supply, demand back here. So we can trade both sides, since we are on a decision point on the larger time frames. The market needs to decide if it's going to start running higher, or it's going to push low one more time. But until then, we can trade both sides. Okay, we're in a very comfortable zone to trade both sides. So that's for the Euro USD. My bias is to long-term bullish, okay, on the Euro USD. So if we go down, I will look for buying opportunities. If we test that demand, I would keep buying. Okay, I'm bullish biased on this market, but I will be selling as we go higher and I see clear supply areas like that one. I will be willing to sell this market, but long term bullish. Let me go to the pound dollar, and here the pattern here is much clearer than the Euro USD. But we know there's some alignment between the euro and the pound movements against the dollar the dollar pair. So these rectangles here, I drew them from last week or 2 weeks ago, and look how the price just perfectly respect this demand area here. Okay, we spoke about the Quasimodo pattern being formed right now in front of our eyes on the daily charts. We have high, we have low, we have a break of that pivot there, and now we're pulling back on a compressional channel. Okay, on a compression, you can see this is a unhealthy pullback. Okay, or we have videos explaining what's compression, but this is a compression area and a very balanced pullback. And look at how it tested that demand. We can see the demand clearer on the euro, on the hourly chart. Okay, look at the demand, how it tested and reacted from there. So now, in order for the Quasimodo, okay, the reversal pattern to be complete, we need to run higher and break these highs right there, and that would execute or trigger the reversal pattern. So all this area is a great buying area. Okay, where if you're not long on this pair and you want to be long, you want to maybe wait for a little for another push lower. Let's see if we have new demand. Okay, and you can see there's new demand here created. Look at this. So any push to that demand, you want to take advantage of that and go long, because the interesting point of compression is the fact that supply has been consumed. So if we see strong movement up, there will be no supply here in order to stop that push to go higher. So that would be my call. I'm also biased for the bullish on this pair. That would break down if we break this demand and this demand there. But as long as we stay above those levels, my bias is to the bullish side. So for this week, I'll be looking for buying opportunities and waiting for the next push higher, with targets probably at these levels, which are the next supply available. Okay, I don't see any supply here. So that will be for the pound dollar. Dollar franc, it's behaving very, very interesting. We had also a Quasimodo pattern. We have the right shoulder down, head lower, low, high, reacted to the supply. Okay, we spoke about that. Okay, we reacted to that supply. We pushed lower, and we reacted to this demand. Okay, so just look how prices move from supply to demand areas, pushed higher, and then last Friday we were testing those resistance levels, and I spoke about the fact that on the hourly chart on my training room last week we were overextended, and I was building short positions here, and news last week finally triggered the movement down. Now this movement down is also overextended, so we can see there's new demand being created there. So probably this movement is going all the way there, but from there we can buy this area, right here. You can see the demand back here. So right now we are in a no trade zone. Okay, you can see how we're in the middle of this movement where there's no demand in order to stop this movement down. But down here at the demand area, or down here at the demand area, we can look for buying opportunities. The only thing to be aware here is the fact that the dollar is getting ready to get weaker against other pairs. So buying this area is kind of stating for a strong dollar. But there's no reason why no trading this, as long as we, as long as we maintain in that range. Okay, we can again trade both sides. We're in a very neutral, there's no clear trend, so we can trade demand, then this demand back here. But once the market, and if the market goes higher, we also have a very clear and new supply area that we haven't tested. So no trade zone. We want to wait for price to go down to demand to buy, or down to demand to buy, or up to supply in order to sell. And as long as we don't establish a new trend, there's no reason why no trading both sides. Okay, so that's for the dollar franc. It looks like there's a battle between some currencies in order to get weaker, and that would be the yen, the franc, and the dollar. Okay, those are very weak currencies right now. New Zealand USD. Let me show you what I see, and let me show you one more thing before we continue. And let's try to mix fundamentals and technical analysis. Clear. Okay, we have been stuck in this range for weeks now. So the character of the market, at least on the dailies, has been very choppy or ranging movements. Break, choppy, break, choppy, or sideways, break, now sideways. And this needs to either break to the upside or to the downside. And myself, I'm trying to position myself for a break higher. So I actually have a hedge here with more buying exposure than selling exposure. So I have a hedge in place, biased to the bullish side. Why is that? Because, and let me show you that. New share. Okay, you should be seeing my trading view, my Forex factory. So if we go to Wednesday, look at this announcement we have. Okay, these kind of events, the cash rate, there's an expectation of an increasing in the interest rate in New Zealand. Okay, and that kind of news announcement when we expect a raise, those tend to cause a break on the the technical patterns or technical levels. Okay, so for the last half year or 6 months, last times there was no expectation for an increase on interest rates, but right now we have this expectation. Okay, and more interest rate in a currency tends to create demand on it. So if we go back to the charts, we don't see that expectation already priced here. Okay, we should be the Kiwi starting to get stronger than the USD. So this consolidation will break. I'm quite certain that on Wednesday we will see the break either of these highs, okay, or those levels, okay, right there, or the break of the lows, okay, depending on what we see, on what's the announcement. But if they were really going to increase the rates, unless there's a surprise or something, we should see a break to the upside. So what I'm building, and I'm preparing myself to get already in profit, like in the money for Wednesday. And if that's the case, I will just trail my stops, or I will manage my position in a certain way where I have no risk involved, but I have a lot of potential. Because if we do see a break of these levels, we should see a test of those highs. Okay, if we go to lower time frames, let me see, where can we find new supply? Okay, so we can see the supply levels. So we can see there, that one, and of course that one. Okay, so a break will stop at some of those lines. So there's a good 70 pips or 130 pips or 160 pips, or probably all the way to 200 pips. So that would be a very good risk reward ratio in case we see the break to the upside. That aligns to all my fundamental analysis of the USD eventually getting weaker against other currencies in the long term. So I'm comfortable with that trade. If I see this starting to break down, then I'll have to manage my position accordingly. But I'm, as you know, similar to all the majors till now, I'm more inclined for a dollar weakening. So I'm trying to build buying positions here. Okay, that's my call for the New Zealand USD. Kind of similar story with the Aussie, but the Aussie has been even weaker than the Kiwi. Hasn't respected the range like here. We have respected like this range, and on the Aussie we don't see that. We have been creating lower lows. So it should be a similar story, but it's not quite the same story. But what we can see is the same range. We have been trapped there for weeks now, and we eventually need to break that range. So a break of that will either start a new leg to the upside, or of course a break to the downside. A break to the downside has no, you can see here, there's no demand to stop a break. So a break to the downside would bring prices all the way to next demand, which is here. A break to the upside has plenty of stopping points, being here the clearest supply. So that would be my long-term target if we do see a break to the upside. But you can see we're pushing the lows, and here we're trying to push the highs of the consolidation on the Kiwi, and on the Aussie we're trying to push the lows. So That's the only thing we need to be aware of. We might see a non-correlation on the Aussie and Kiwi. Okay, just be aware of that. Dollar CAD, really with a lot of mixed signals here. You know, all these drawings are from previous webinars and previous sessions. We established a low here, but we haven't established a high. So we really need to see a high forming there. A fail on forming a new high that would only bring selling opportunities. But really, let me clean. Not a very clear pattern. We don't have very, you know, besides maybe this supply area and this demand area, at least on the dailies, we don't see any clear zone. Let me see if we have something on the hourlies. Okay, you can see neither. On the hourly, we can see some, you know, demand over there. But very sideways market. I don't see the bias, and I don't see the trend. So I'm really on the sidelines for this one. We're on that fight where we have really a lot of selling pressure and a lot of buying pressure, and we're compressing towards a point where we need a new fundamental or something in order to create a break of this structure right here. So I know there's plenty of traders trading right now the USD CAD. In fact, if we go to the 5-minute chart, you can see all the day for you know, trending up, but then as we approach this resistance back here, we start seeing all the tails on the bottom part and then selling opportunities. So if I wanted to day trade this pair, I would be trying to sell. So I would wait for a push higher, and then I'll look for sell opportunities. If we have time, I might just do that. Okay, because I don't see how without fundamentals we break that structure. Okay, this very ranging and sideways structure. So I want to be selling the extreme highs, and I want to be buying the extreme lows. So this might be the high for today, and if we have another push to the upside, I want to be a seller. And let's just do 2 or 3 more, and we'll move on to requests. Dollar yen, again, you can see the range. There's really no trend for the last months already. We had this attempt to break up that failed, and since then we have just moving up and down, up and down. So I want to be buying the lows, and I won't be selling the highs. So let's see if we have some okay, demand, which is okay. This one is a great example. We have demand, and we have an overextension. Okay, you can see this movement without pullbacks at all. So if this continues lower with that kind of formation, I want to be a buyer here. Okay, let me set that, because these kind of movements are very atypical in a standard deviation. Okay, and look at normal price behavior. You see you see these kind of movements. Okay, those are average movements, kind of. A push and then retracement. And then look at this movement without retracements at all. So this is overextended, And if that continues all the way to here, there's a lot of chances we see a reaction to the upside. Of course, we have also demand here, so we want to take advantage of that. But in the large picture, I don't want to forget we are on that range. Okay, there's no clear trend, so we can buy the lows and we can sell the highs. That's the the context of this currency pair, of the dollar yen. Euro yen, kind of different story. We have more bearish pressure. We have been pushing the lows. We are now testing this demand. There is some demand there, but we have a lot of down pressure, and that demand was tested here. So this is not a fresh demand. So we might see a break of those levels, or at least a test of those. So in this case, I would be, instead of trying to buy, I would be looking for pullbacks in order to keep shorting this market, because there's no fresh demand in order to stop this movement down. Okay, so we spoke about the so I was just reading something. So for this pair, I want to be a seller. Okay, I see a lot of selling pressure. You can see we have been just pushing down, down, down. Not enough demand to find a new test, at least for these levels right there. So that would be a nice opportunity. And if we do break that, look at this. There's no demand at all. So we could expect a push lower. If we go to the hourlies, we do see supply. So I see a lot of supply, but not a lot of demand. So I want to be a seller on this market. Okay, that's the bottom line. Okay, there are some requests here. I will go to the EuroCAD, Euro Pound. Okay, we'll go over those. Just letting me finish with the Pound Yen. Okay, again, not a lot of trend. We spoke last time about this pattern, okay, this V shape that tends to form or tends to lead to a push higher. So we did have the retracement. We were overextended all this movement up. Let me just clean that. And we had the movement up, but without follow through. So that opened up the doors for the sellers now to be active. And we are right now testing, let me clean, this support, but now without demand. Let me show that. Okay, there's the test, there's some demand, but we have tested once and we're now testing it for the second time. So we could expect this time a break of those lows, which in that case would take the prices all the way to that large area. Let me see how it's forming back there. Yeah, so that's the demand. So that's good. So if we do break these levels, and again, there's a lot of selling pressure similar to the Euro Yen, which is pressing down. You can see how we're pressing down here as well. A lot of selling pressure. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a break and a test of this demand. So that's about 100 pips. And from that area, as long as we don't change in structure on the dailies, I want to be a buyer here because we have been buyers, buyers, buyers. So probably at these levels, we will have a news or some fundamental to prevent this market to break those lows. So I want to be a seller until that level right there. Okay, we had the opportunity to go long, that failed. We created new supply over here, and that should be enough in order to push the market all the way to that demand. Okay, so I will be, during this week, I will be a seller of this market. Actually, on the, even here, you can see the 5-minute chart, how bearish is it? It is. So I really want to see, let me bring this here. Even for today, for an intraday trading, I want to go to the 5-minute chart, and I want to wait for a pullback, and then I will try to join the bearish side of this market. Look how, even on the 5-minute chart, we are increasing in momentum right now. We have this kind of little bearish candles, and right now we are forming a larger bearish movement. Okay, we are in the same period of time. In this case, it's 5 minutes. We are moving more pips to the downside. So I want to align my trading to that movement. So a retracement higher, I'll be looking to short this market. Pound yen, short. Okay, that's my intraday trading. I was also looking at the dollar CAD. Okay, I kind of missed that one. Okay, for a okay, let me look at some requests here. EuroCAD, my stops was hunted. I expected it was bearish to 38 fib level on the 1 hour, where a risk caught me out. Sorry to hear that, Adlaja, but important that you had your stops in place and prevent that from becoming a larger loss. Eduardo, you're looking at euro pound. Let's look at that. On the weeklies, yeah, so you're aiming, and I believe we spoke about this. We're on our way to this demand. We had on the dailies, we had demand. We already reacted, and now we're pushing all the way to the lows. In fact, on the weeklies, you can see that push. Okay, that's kind of a pin bar or something that tends to have continuation lower all the way to that demand. And I would agree. I really want to be a buyer on that area. Euro pound and Euro USD, they're very balanced pairs. So if you look at the big picture, this is the weeklies, of course. There's a lot of transaction between the UK and the Euro and Europe. So there's a lot of interests in maintaining the exchange rate balanced. Okay, you know, all traders and companies and everyone wants to kind of have an idea of how much going to cost them to send money out, or receiving money, how much they're going to receive. So it's a very unlikely scenario to see a break of those lows without, you know, an extreme fundamental surprise or something like that. But as long as we don't have that, I want prices to go, especially in that kind of formation. That's a compression as well. It's not, we wouldn't call that a pullback, correct? That's more a compression channel. So once they face this demand, you want to be long, and me too, but not yet. Correct. Can we look at pound in New Zealand? Yes, of course. Let's look at that. Pound New Zealand. You are short on it. Martin, what time frame are you shorting? Pound New Zealand. Yeah. Adlaja, you have great comments. I would really appreciate if you would change your settings so everyone can see what you type. I think that there's a great insight on your comments, which I would like everyone to see and to read for our. Yeah, we've been forming lower lows and lower highs, so there's an argument to go short. It has been a very balanced pair. There's a lot of sideways movement. If we go to the dailies, of course. I mean, we are forming higher highs, but very in a with a lot of choppiness. So if you go short, just be aware you are about to face kind of trend support, and we would have to go see if there's demand down there. But this midterm momentum is short. Okay, so you are with the short and midterm pressure. Make sure you know at what point, if this starts going up, you would change sides or you would get out of your trade. Okay, good one. Enrique EuroCAD, are you buying or selling? You are buying on the daily, so you are killing it. If you're buying right now, you're in a great spot. We reacted to this demand, and it just showed that. Okay, we had demand. We're reacting right now to that, and we're pushing higher. Let me see if there's supply over there. Yeah, so there's you see compression. There's not a lot of supply. Of course, there will be resistance points. So we expect some either sideways movements like it has been doing right now, or pullbacks. But clear supply we see all the way to the tops. So if you caught the demand area back here, you're in a great position. Okay, let's see if we can take some trades together. Let me see. Okay. From everything we saw, this was the one I liked the most. So now I'm waiting for a pullback. Okay, on the pound yen, I'll be looking for movements to this area. If we go to the 1 month chart in this case, you can see there's some fresh supply. Okay, and look how you can run these exercises on all time frames. So now we have fresh supply here. Let me see how that looks. Okay, so that will be the areas I want to short. So I want to wait for this market to pull back to those supply areas, and from those areas I will start shorting the market. We attempt to break the low we just spoke about. Okay, so we are kind of breaking all the demand. There's no demand there. Of course, we try to break and there's some support left. There might be something left also back here, but the overall trend or long-term movement will be all the way to the demand back here. So on my intraday trading, I want to align myself to that. So I'll be looking for opportunities to short. Okay, as long as I have, once I have new information that the market provides me, that I will start shorting. This movement, okay, is overextended, so a pullback needs to come. Okay, either a pullback or a sideways movement, and from there, I'll start shorting. Okay, that's my intraday favorite pair for today. Bob, how I draw the color rectangles to indicate supply and resistance. So it's just a simple rectangle. You have it here on your platform, and then you can change the colors. If you go to properties, where is it? Yeah, properties. You can select the color you want. So it's a simple object. The supply and demand areas, you need to train your eyes to identify those. But we have a lot of videos on that on our YouTube channel, so just go check out that, and you can draw your. Martin, after shorting pound yen, I'm going to hold it long term. I don't know. It really depends on what the market tells me. If the market does this, and I manage to go short, and then there's a lot of momentum to the downside. So yes, I will try to hold that as long as possible. But if I see the market coming to this area and I short, and then I have a different formation here indicating me that this might turn over and go up, then no. Okay, I don't want to have a prediction in place and stick to that. I want to adapt and tune to the new information the market will provide me. Audric, pound Aussie, let's check that one. Yeah, this is a tricky one. We could argue this is an uptrend, so you want to buy, but there's a lot of areas here to stop that trend. Okay, if we look carefully, we have kind of resistance over there. We have supply. We have supply. And we have supply. So you kind of want to be buying, but also this pushes higher, have been all with a lot of compression on them. You see, there's no clear obliques. You see how these obliques are formed by ups and down, ups and down, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. So there's not a lot of momentum behind all these movements up. So besides this, I guess there will be some demand. If we go to lower time frames, there's no demand here. There is demand. I guess that we'll find some demand here if we go and check that. And demand over there. But I would be cautious about this uptrend, because it is going up, but with a lot of, let me see how, let me help myself with maybe what can we use? Yeah, so okay, it's not showing what I thought it would show. I thought it would show that we were up here, okay, and ready to fall. So I don't know. I mean, I see the push higher, but a very weak one. Okay, I don't see these kind of movements. Look at this movement right here. You see a clear movement down. You don't see that to the upside. You see how the market struggled to go up. So you kind of want to go up, but just be careful because one of these, key levels might just reverse that and reverse that movement to the downside. It's not going to give it me. Okay, so this keeps pushing higher. The more overextended we go, the more larger the chances we get the pullback we're looking for. Now, if this continues lower, this might create a new supply. So if this goes a bit lower, next pullback, I don't need it to be as deep to these areas because a new supply area might get formed there. Okay, so if this goes, let's say like that, then I would wait for a pullback to this new supply just formed. Okay, I don't need the pullback to be all the way to those areas. I can short then that area. Okay, but I really need the market to create a fresh supply there, like not leaving those tails right there. Okay, guys, I think we'll wrap up here. We went through the majors, some crosses. We identified some key levels. I guess what we're seeing is a lot of balance in the markets, a lot of ranges. We didn't identify any clear downtrend or uptrend. My bias is to a weakening dollar against the majors. Be aware of news, important news, especially trend triggers news like the one on the Kiwi, and keep an eye on that one. So we'll see how the market develops during the week, and we'll adapt our trades and our positions. Okay. Thank you for coming, guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.